All right, Lost Ark's coming out on Tuesday. If you buy one of the founder pack and you're here because you want to learn everything that I know about Lost Ark, well, I've been doing a lot of research, taking a lot of time to make sure I am well informed when it comes to answering questions, especially over on my live stream. I hope you enjoy it. Keep an eye on the YouTube channel. We're going to be putting out a lot of Lost Ark content going forward. Peace. Lost Ark is a Korean MMO created by Smilegate, being published here in the West by Amazon Game Studios. All they handle is the server infrastructure. Basically, they host it here, they market it here, and they kind of handle the translations of stuff. The rest of it should be 100% Smilegate developing it. So the concerns of like New World's problems really plaguing this aren't really there because it's still all Smilegate's code. It's all their networking. It's all that stuff. All Amazon had to do was just copy paste it onto servers. That's not really it, but that's kind of what they had to do. It is the most played MMO in all of Korea, the second most played game in all of Korea, only behind League of Legends. It has been doing nothing but gaining players for the past 2 years. It has been doing nothing but putting out patches that the community loves for the past 2 years. There's already a huge planned patch for Korea coming up sometime this year that's adding a ridiculous amount of content that everybody wants. Like they're literally putting a MOBA inside of the game. They're putting more PvP stuff in the game, like just so much stuff. So that's why everybody's really hyped, because the game has a shitload of potential and it's already got a lot of proven potential because of how good it is in Korea. Now, what is this game? The best PvP in the game is an arena, an instance arena, free-for-alls and 3v3s, and ranked. So it's not battlegrounds, it's arenas. There's like open world PvP islands, but nobody really does that shit. And then there's also guild versus guild, but nobody really does that shit either because it's not balanced. The PvP is supposedly like really competitive, really good, really fun. It's one of those things where like you want to grind your rank out, which is, I hope, really good, because that's really what I want to do. Basically, the way it works is in PvP, you have access to all of your skills no matter what level you are. Like I think you start PvP at level 26. In PvP, you have literally dedicated builds that don't even fucking matter about your PvE character. It doesn't matter what your stats are, what your gear is. It doesn't matter anything like that. You just come in here and you say, okay, I want this ability, tier 3, upgrade it, and you have a certain, I think it's like 310 skill points that you can use, and you just build your character based on that. And then you go in there and you're grinding for ranks, and then at the end of the season you get shit. Maybe it's gold. I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is, so don't quote me on that. But and then the PvE is like the dungeons in this game are supposedly really incredible. The raids are really incredible and they're really difficult, so it takes like high skill. And then there's like other types of endgame PvE, which is basically kind of like Monster Hunter bosses, where there's just like these giant bosses with mechanics, and that's all you're doing. You're just going in there to kill that fucking boss. There's a lot of Korean tropes in the game, like RNG systems for upgrading, but they're not painful like in BDO or in Elion, where gear will break and you'll have to re-get the gear. Things will fail, the gear won't break, you just have to use the RNG again to try to get it. And then there'll be a stop loss system where like basically if you don't hit the RNG like 4 times, it will just be 100% the next time you do it. And then overall, it's the normal Korean MMO style of grinding, right? There's lots of grinding, but the grinding is going to be more in dungeons rather than open world grinding. And the dungeons are really fucking cool in this game. So that's kind of like a, you know, it's grinding, but it's not boring grinding. It's actually really fun grinding. There's going to be dailies that you have to do. The main content for progression is going to be weekly based though. So if you have a couple days a week that you can't play, you won't fall behind. You'll be able to still do those weeklies and still stay with the pack. You won't stay at the top of the pack, but you'll stay with the pack. And then the PvE gear grind is all kind of crafting resources based. So you're doing these quests, you're doing these dungeons and these dailies and these raids and stuff to get the crafting resource. And then you go back to your instance housing, which is kind of like your own player island that you can build up, decorate, all that shit like that. But you go back there and then you use the items that you get from the raids, the dungeons, the dailies, and all that stuff, combine them at your base to be able to get the better gear to wear it. So then you can progress into the next tier of difficulty of stuff. And when I say tier of difficulty of stuff, it's not like we have one raid and then it has a bunch of tiers. It's like a raid is a tier 1 raid, and then there's a raid that's a tier 2 raid, and they're not the same thing. You have a ship in this game and you sail from island to island, and then there's this whole thing where you like go discover islands for crafting resources. And then they're also putting like these mini games in the game where like you send out this little guy on his quest to find other islands, and like you fight. It's kind of like a Super Mario game in a way. There's treasure hunting. Yeah, there's a shitload of collectibles. There's lots of different professions you can do. I mean, it's a full-blown MMO. Fucking crazy, man. This game like has like everything in it. It's wild. Like if you don't want a PvP, you don't got a PvP. If you don't want to raid, you don't got to raid. There's just like so much shit to do that you'll find something you want to do. So the way the class system works is there's like all these main classes. First, it's like a warrior and a fighter and a gunslinger or an assassin, right? And then those classes have a bunch of subclasses in them. So when I say 26 classes, that's what I mean. And the subclasses are all very unique, and you choose those at the start of the game. So when they add new classes, they're they're adding more subclasses is what they're doing.